Hello everyone, welcome back to the homestead. Today we are going to do a late summer garden tour. I'm just going to kind of follow Esther Pie around with the camera, and she's going to show you what we've got going on late summer here in the gardens. It's going to be a full tour, except for we're going to save our backyard where most of the dahlias are, and the girls' garden area for next week. So it is the end of the season, but there's still a lot going on. And so let's take a walk through our gardens.
The white garden is pretty much done, but there's still a little bit of color.
Yeah. This is David Phlox. It's still blooming. It's been blooming for, I think, a couple of months now, huh?
Yeah.
And then we still have some of the little coreopsis here. And that's pretty much it for the white garden, but it's been a really fun space.
Most of our squash died over here. We still have a zucchini and our giant mystery squash, and we also have a second planting of the yellow straight neck squash that we'll show you.
Yep. It's pretty much gotten mildew, the yellow squash, but it produced so much for us this year. Early prolific yellow straight neck.
Yeah.
Yep. And then zucchini here is still going amazingly. We thought we'd lost that zucchini, but it came back to life.
Yep. This is our shade garden, and right now the hostas are looking beautiful in the mist flower. This is one of our zinnia beds, but we also have some other random plants like daisies and little bunny grass.
You like that grass, huh?
Yeah.
That one's fun to add to bouquets, and it's a perennial, so it comes back every year, huh?
Yeah, and we also don't have very many grasses yet.
Yeah, don't have a lot of grasses in the garden, but the three that we do have are a lot of fun.
Yep. And now I'm getting into our annual beds, and this is our ground cherries that actually self-seed.
Yeah, these come back every year from seed.
And they're really tasty too.
They're a fun little treat, huh? It's starting to rain, but we're going to keep going because it's not raining too hard.
Yeah.
Alright, so what's next here, Esther?
This is our butterfly garden, and it's cloudy, so there's not a lot of butterflies, but there are a bunch of bumblebees. They especially like the anisisum. This is our first crop of bush beans, but they're pretty much done now, so we're going to be replacing it with daikon radishes.
Yeah, one of our fall crops.
As we work our way out into the garden, next we have our hardy citrus.
Which has a bunch of little teeny fruits. I'm hoping they get mature enough to harvest before our first frost. That's a flying dragon trifoliate orange tree.
Yep, and then behind me is our honeyberry bushes.
Yes, which we were able to make some honeyberry jam. Got a lot of them this year, which was really fun, huh?
Yeah. Next is 6 long annual beds. First one has 2 different types of sweet potatoes. First is Mahon yam, and the other is Covington. The next bed has cowpeas.
Yeah, that we're just using as a cover crop right now, and hopefully we'll get a harvest from them.
The next one is Sudan grass, and our second planting of yellow squash. Then we have more bush beans. Next is Waltham butternut squash. And the last bed has more bush beans. Over here we have our perennial flower bed, and right now the thunderhead sedum is looking beautiful. And here's another one of our grasses. It's called Carlie Rose.
This is a fun one, huh?
Yeah. My brothers and sisters are playing on the trampoline right now, so you might hear them in the background. This is a really fun end cap to one of our annual beds.
Yeah, we've got one Plumosa salvia in here that's spread all over the place. We have some wine cups, or also known as poppy mallow. I planted one wild violet petunia that's going crazy. And then we have this fun little cover here that we got from our neighbors. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a sedum of some sort, and it's just spread all throughout the base of these flowers. It's so pretty. We also have some creeping Jenny in here. So this has given us inspiration for next year's pots, huh? We're thinking for our blueberry pots we'll put some of these flowers in, and that way they can drape over the edge of the pots. That'd be pretty.
Yeah.
Time to trim the chocolate mint.
But we're gonna wait to harvest our mints after the first frost, because then it'll stay green when we harvest it to dry.
Yeah, we just learned that tip from Stacy, off Grid with Doug and Stacy's channel. And so we're gonna let a mild frost hit our mint plants before we cut to dry them, and hopefully that'll keep them green even when they dry. Plus, hopefully we'll have our stove going by then, and our house will be a little bit more dry for that,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, huh? It's a little too wet to dry anything right now.
Next we have our strawberry beds that we're working on getting ready for winter.
We've got some pepper plants and basil plants kind of tucked in. There's some random echinacea and other things growing in our strawberry beds that we just kind of let them hang out.
Some of the basils and peppers did flop though because we had a storm last night.
Yeah, I tried to stake them up a little bit this morning, some of them, but others are still a bit floppy.
Yeah.
We've also got some turkeys hanging out in this part of the garden. They love to find the yellowwood sorrel that we let grow in the strawberry beds. It's one of their favorite treats. These guys are getting almost too big to be in the garden. We've let them hang out as babies, but now their droppings are getting a bit annoying, huh? So soon we'll be keeping them caged up with the adult birds in this yard right next to the garden here. Uh-oh, we lost a branch in the storm, huh?
Yep.
Wonder if they'll still ripen.
Here, my mom planted way too much cinnamon basil.
I always forget how big cinnamon basil gets.
Here on this double arch trellis we have purple pole beans, which are pretty much done, cucumbers that are finally dying, and this amazing zucchini rampicante.
Yeah, and I noticed there's actually some little babies still trying to grow. It's amazing that that little thing can turn into these. And this is, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this is starting to get its winter squash hard outside shell. So that's just about ready to harvest.
Good thing because it's weighing down the whole trellis.
I know, it's pulling the whole trellis down. It's so heavy. I wonder how much it weighs.
Yeah. Our lavender's finally starting to take off.
Yeah, we have two lavender plants that have been so small for the last couple of years, but they're finally starting to bush out nicely, huh?
Yep.
This is about how far we've gotten into the garden with our pea gravel, so we still have some back areas here we need to put pea gravel on. What do we have over here, Esther Pie?
Our autumn joy sedum.
Yeah.
Just about to.
Yeah, it's just about to color up nicely, huh? And then this back bed just becomes a jungle because it's right on the edge of the creek side. And so we've got wild grapevines going along here, various weeds trying to creep in, but we also have some dahlias hidden in here, some self-seeded wild tomatoes, some mist flower, catnip, and some other things. This whole edge is really hard to maintain, huh?
Yeah.
We're hoping to eventually maybe cement the whole outside of this fence line, make a little cement seating area or something. Even though the guys come through and weed eat regularly, it's still, the jungle comes through the fence line into our garden.
Yeah. Here's another one of our grasses. It's called Little Bluestone.
Yeah, that's a fun one. We have another dahlia over here. Do you remember the name of this one, Esther?
Cordessa?
Cordessa, yeah. And this is our apple orchard area. We just redid all the rock work through here, put more pea gravel. It's really nice, shady area. And this is actually jewelweed. Some of you might recognize that. We did not plant it here. It grew on its own and we decided to leave it because you may know jewelweed is really good for getting rid of poison ivy.
Yeah, so you can use the juices from the leaves and the stems of the jewelweed to rub on your poison ivy, and it helps it go away faster.
Yep, works great. We've used it a lot, huh?
Yeah.
Back here we have a little sitting area where we're underneath our pear trees. And then also back here we have a couple peach trees. Got some mums in bloom back here. We have what's left of a double arch trellis that was back here before we put the peach trees in. So we have a few tomatoes growing on this. Muscovies love this compost area. Hey, how you doing up there? Hi. Just hanging out. And then on this side we have the boys' garden, Nathan's garden. He's got some nice chard right now. And Joseph's garden's pretty much done. He has a few perennials in here like comfrey, some garlic chives. And then we have our wisteria here. And we've got a spot all formed up that's going to be for cement and hopefully a pergola to get this thing up off the ground. And now we're back around going toward the front of the house here. This Vegeta garden bed has done exactly what I hoped it would do. We were able to grow greens throughout the summer. On the very hottest point of summer we didn't have greens to harvest, but I was able to keep the little plants alive, and now especially the Muir lettuce is beautiful. We've been harvesting it. So I think next year when we have our other patio cover here, I will be able to be harvesting greens from this bed even through the summer, which will be amazing. These beds are so high quality, really well made, long lasting, durable garden beds. So if you are setting up a garden and are interested in something like this, check out the link below. We are affiliates, so if you end up purchasing beds through our link below, we will get a small commission, which would be awesome. You ready to go to the other garden?
Yep.
Okay. This is where we've got a lot of plant starts. We do propagating. These are some Rose of Sharon plants that I was able to propagate, and got some extra perennials. And what are these, Esther?
Our fall garden starts.
Our fall garden starts. Second try. The best success we've had so far with fall planting is to wait until early September to start seeds, and I keep those seeds in the shade the best I can. Often I'll keep them protected from bugs as well, and we try to stick to varieties that mature quickly. And then we also use row covers on little mini hoops, and that helps us have a few extra weeks after our first frost. We're zone 6 and our first frost is usually mid-October somewhere. I don't know if I'll ever be able to grow fall cabbage, broccoli, or cauliflower until we have our big greenhouse finished. I'm hoping that I'll eventually be able to use that to grow the crops that take a little longer to mature. So I'm going to put up a list now of the different varieties that we've had the most success with so far growing in the fall. Before we go out to the main crop area, this is our patio bed. where we have tomatoes growing, and it was an absolute jungle yesterday, but I cleared it all out and we've got some last tomatoes ripening up. That one's a celebrity. We have some San Marzano, some black cherry, and some Amish paste.
And a snapdragon and the parsley.
Yeah, I plant herbs below the tomato plants. So we've got some parsley and basil.
And also one more thing before we go to the main crop is some of our spicy peppers.
Yeah, this is a lemon drop pepper plant.
Which has
loaded.
So many peppers.
It's got so many peppers on it. So those will all turn yellow soon. And then there's another yellow pepper over here. I'm not sure what that one's called. I can't remember.
Okay, last thing before we go to the main crop is our fig tree.
Yeah, we've got one fig tree that produces really well every year, and it's got a bunch of figs on it that we're waiting to get ripe. Figs out here in our front garden space that we didn't plant this year because we've got ducks in here. They had to go in here for safety until their new duck house is completed. So next year we'll hopefully get this space fixed up and planted again.
First thing in our main crop is our raspberry bed, which is doing great.
Yeah, these are heritage raspberries. It's their first year, and we are loving coming out here to harvest. There are still a bunch that are not ready, but every day we're coming out and gathering from them. And the bed is not the best. We still have some work to do. We just did temporary rocks on the one side and some old scrap wood on the other. And then we've got kind of a makeshift trellis system going on. So hopefully next year we'll have it fixed up a little better.
Yep.
But they're producing great.
And here's one of our crazy sweet potato beds. There is Murasaki and Beauregard in here.
Yeah. We've already come in and pruned these plants back a couple times, and they just are growing, growing, growing. It's just about time to harvest them. Love the blooms on these. So beautiful. And the bumblebees love them too.
Here's the first part of our main crop garden that we've been working on setting up.
Your tomato bed here that we just pruned as well, and it is loaded with lots of tomatoes ripening up. We've gotten so many tomatoes off this one small bed, huh?
Yeah.
We have two beds that are not filled yet. We're working on filling them, so they'll hopefully be ready to plant next spring. And then we've got some beds back here that we planted with some fall starts.
Most of them didn't make it though.
Yeah, we started them at a friend's house in their kitchen window area, and they did good at first, but then the plants just started getting really spindly and looking weak. But we went ahead and planted them anyway, and then we had over 100-degree weather like right after we planted them. And so yeah. Maybe if we'd gotten some shade cloth out here, it would have helped. But the shade cloth, from our experience, the shade cloth doesn't always work on these little hoops because it actually heats up the space inside even more. So I think the shade cloth is good for just hanging straight, you know, in a patio area or something like that. But so anyway, we've got some more starts going, and there are a couple tiny plants struggling to survive in here. But most of it we're going to just replant. So we'll have kohlrabi. Over here we've got carrots planted, and some of them germinated. There's a few little teeny starts, but we went ahead and reseeded that too, huh? Mm-hmm. And then this area we just planted some radishes. So there's some little radishes starting, and we're going to do turnips on the other side. So we'll see how it goes. Fall crops are a little tricky, how hot it can be even into September. But every year we go ahead and try anyway, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, there's one last thing in the main crop area.
This is our last sweet potato bed.
This one is a purple sweet potato. It does really well. The bed is actually only like 1.5 feet wide, but the plants are about 6 feet wide. We did prune them already. And oh, and there's one more thing. We have a swale back here in the main crop area, so there's some chestnut trees, pawpaw trees, mulberry, and various perennials. I was able to weed the first half, so it looks pretty nice. And then the other half is completely covered with weeds still. So maybe we'll get out here one of these days and finish weeding it.
Yeah. That's about it for our tour today. Thanks for joining us in the gardens.
Yeah, and before we go, we have a quick thank you to give.
Thank you to whoever got me these boxers, and also thank you to Chris from Utah for getting me this guitar book. I just started playing and I think this will be helpful.
As always, thank you so much to our patrons who make these videos possible. We appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, we pray blessings over you and yours. And whatever you do, do it with your whole heart.